The Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. Living in a place where their driveway occasionally floods for several days has made Gaye and her family appreciate the power of Mother Nature, the importance of community, and how we take for granted our ability to come and go as we please. Please welcome Gaye Tibbets.
I'm a relatively new transplant to Hutchinson. My husband and I bought a house here in November of 2015. All of us have special days we remember, graduations, births, marriages. I remember the day we closed on our house. I remember it because we stopped by the Hutch News, which is what brought us to Hutchinson, to get some papers notarized. And either John Green or Jason Probst said, "Oh, you bought a house, where is it?" And I gave them the address, and they said, "Oh, up there where it floods?" And I turned to my husband and I said, "What?" Now, at that point, I had been married to him for a while, since we looked like that, so you can see how long it had been. And I know this about Ron Sylvester. There is no one you want in your corner more when things are going bad. Ron ignores all negativity, focuses on positivity, and thinks that every obstacle can be overcome by hard work and ingenuity, which he has in spades. This makes him a great boss, but it makes him sometimes a difficult spouse. Ron does not say, "Is the glass half empty or half full?" He says, "I don't think there's anything missing out of that glass." So I knew this about him when I asked about the flooding. And he told me, "Don't worry, I talked to circulation and they said it floods north of us." Now, I think probably what happened is that circulation did say it floods north of us, but they didn't say it only floods north of us, because it does flood at my house. Now, I say at my house because the water doesn't come in my house. It just floods my front yard, which sometimes has ducks swimming in it. I live on what they call a diversion channel for the Cow Creek, and that's a flood control device so that when the Cow Creek gets too full, and it would otherwise overflow, the water has a place to go to let the pressure off. So right there, kind of in that red circle, is my driveway. Now, my front yard is one of my favorite places in the world. I mean, I can sit out there, I can see turtles, we have a heron, I listen to bird calls. It's just very beautiful and idyllic most of the time. But when the water comes, it comes fast, and it comes hard, and that's my driveway. So lest you think, "Oh, well, you could walk or drive over that," I need to tell you what every township worker I've ever encountered has told me about the driveway. They said, "Did you hear the story about the tractor?" Apparently, the people who lived there before we did thought they would get their heaviest piece of machinery and drive it over the water, and it just picked it up and threw it into the ditch. So every township worker I ever meet says, "Your driveway is the most dangerous place in this area." Now, that's a picture of the snacks we had the first time that we were flooded in. And you can see, I mean, I thought it was going to be fun because I'm taking pictures of the snacks. But that's 64 ounces of beer, which is 5.5 beers for 6 days and 2 people, and it was not enough. We also ran out of coffee, and we ran low on toilet paper, and the anxiety was real. We tried to brainstorm about ways we might get across the creek, and this is my favorite from my friend Tracy, but we decided that you'd have to put a zip line on one side, climb up, zip line down, then put a climb up, a zip line going the other way, and then the street would be flooded, so probably that wouldn't work. One thing that happens when nobody's coming to your house is your standards decline rapidly. The first day we got up, we put on shorts, we put on t-shirts, we did our work at our laptops. The second day we thought, nobody's coming, why do we have to wear pants? By the third day, we were Lord of the Flies. So apparently we were both texting Ed and telling him how bad it was, and he created that graphic for us. So I get a notice on my phone when the water goes over 15 feet in Lyons. And the United States Geological Service measures all waterways, how fast they're going and how high they are every hour. So I can look at any time to see what the water level is. And so on that particular notice, it didn't get to 16. How did we learn about this? Ron and I have a neighbor who explained to us how the water flow is, how you can look it up, how you can get the thing on your phone. We call her the Oracle. And whenever we start to wonder if there's a flood coming, we say, consult the Oracle. I don't know what we'd do without her. In our flood pictures, you'll notice the sun's always shining. It never floods at my house, no matter how much it rains in Hutchinson. The water comes from north of us. When I call into work and say I'm flooded in, they always go, Gaye, it's not even raining in Wichita. But what they don't understand is that this is the watershed. Way up north of Cheyenne Bottoms, that gray line, all of that water heads down to a point in Hutchinson. The water that comes across my driveway could come from all the way up there. And that point down there, that is that fast water you saw in the video. It's 722 miles. Okay, one of the tricky things is when you're waiting for the water to make it to your house, you can't leave, because if it comes while you're gone, you're out. So Ron wrote a column and said that he had called our friend Elizabeth, because we all call each other while we're waiting for the water, and she had said, we thought about going to church, but we were glad we hadn't, because the water came while we were gone. And so then she called us and she said, all my friends are calling because they read about me in the paper, and I feel like a movie star. This is Houston. This is a real flood. This destroys people's lives and homes. And I understand I don't have that. What I have is an inconvenience and supportive neighbors who help me through it, and a great job where I can work at home and my husband can work at home as well. My job is that I'm a lawyer, and I don't know if you ever thought about it, but nobody goes to see a lawyer because things are going well. People show up in my office at the worst points of their life, and I tend to think that I have the responsibility for fixing their problems. I also am the mom and stepmom to 5 kids, and so I think I'm also responsible for their happiness. So you know what? I think that it's good for me to be reminded that I am not in charge. My religion reminds me of that. This quote from Longfellow reminds me of that. And frankly, my front yard creek reminds me of that. And I'm pretty grateful. Thank you.